Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's that time of the week. We're taking a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. So, funny story, we just got finished filming all the rest of the knives for this new knives video. Thomas was over there starting to put the footage together when something else showed up, and we wanted to launch it as soon as we could. So we're back to film a quick pickup here right at the beginning for this knife right here. The Banter, new exclusive for us here at the Knife Center in this configuration. Awesome Ben Peterson design. Cool couple of upgrades on this. First off, first time you could get the purple color on the full-size Banter. It was a really successful option for the baby Banter last year, so we thought it deserved to have a like full-size sibling. Upgraded the blade to 20 CV, and a couple of other little tweaks too. This is the first Banter with a reversible pocket clip. I know a lot of folks have been asking for that. And they've also done us a nice little carve out on the inside of the front G10 handle part here, so that it's a little bit easier to get to that liner lock when you want to unlock and close the knife. The first one certainly worked fine, but this one just is a little bit nicer, if you know what I mean. But it's a really cool knife. The blade there is just under that 3-inch mark, so it's easy to take most places. Versatile spear point shape with the high flat grind. Works great. And it does another neat trick. For such a relatively small knife, this is not a big guy at all. Even though it's just a 3-inch blade and it folds up really neatly, you don't have a huge handle on the back, but it still fills the hand pretty nicely. Neat trick to pull off. So you've got a very compact package, but something that feels very capable if you need to push it into something a little bigger than you might normally push your 3-inch blade to do. Now, in addition to kind of the tidy dimensions of this knife, it's going to be very easy to carry also because of the deep carry clip on that guy, which, as I said, is now reversible, which is pretty cool. The ball bearings in the pivot allow them to get a really nice action going on. No flipper, but those thumb studs work excellently. Tidy little package. I think that really does describe the way the Banter works and feels in the hand. Feels great, and the price, barely much more than the S35 VN versions. I think we're about $123 and some change on these guys, so really, really cool.
And now back to our regularly scheduled new knives of the week.
All right, we're gonna start things off this week with this little Finch right here. This is the Lucky 13 Flipper. Comes in about 135 bucks right now. For that, you're getting this this nice kind of compact swayback style of flipper, 2.4-inch blade, 154 cm, really cool looking horizontal grain on the blade. Gives it a little bit more of that premium touch, a little bit, almost custom feel. You don't see that too often on production knives because it takes a little bit of extra time typically. But the results are very well worth it, especially when you combine it with the stainless steel bolsters here. You can see that same grain pattern going through, looks really good. And this one right here, we've got Cocobolo for the handle scales on both sides. So you've got a modern frame locking flipper, but a nice kind of wood accent, kind of classic feel. Other materials right now, there's a white bone and an abalone. So all kind of classically inspired patterns. No like ultra modern or more modern stuff like Micarta or G10, stuff like that on this model at this point. Great gents knife for sure. You've got the Finch shield here, which actually glows in the dark as well. You've got stability thanks to that frame lock, but you've also got ball bearings in the pivot and a nice flipper, so you can get to the knife quite easily. You can also easily do a two-hand open, of course. You can with most knives, but in a nod to the classic inspiration of this particular knife, they've given it an actual nail nick there, like the old slip joint swaybacks you used to be able to get. Still can in some cases, but kind of a neat touch. Pocket clip, milled titanium, just a really classy looking knife for the classy gent or lady on the go today. All right, we'll keep the kind of gentlemanly vibes going, the fancy stuff here up front. A new Boker Plus. This is the Kansei Matsuno Nori flipper. Really nice design. You've kind of got an executive styled Quaken in a way. 144 bucks for this guy right now. For that, we've got a Damascus blade, and I believe this is their VG10 Damascus, and a titanium handle. And I'm not positive, but I think the liners are actually stonewashed titanium as well. They have very much the same quality and same finish as the rounded over titanium scales on the outside. Looks really classy, is going to wear really nicely in your pocket. You've got a pretty aggressive tumbled finish going on, so the odd scratches that may come from like your keys or anything else that shares a pocket with this aren't going to be too severe looking. It's just going to blend right in. As far as carry, we've got a folded over pocket clip, not quite deep carry, and that leather fob. And as far as opening action, you've got a dual, like two-pronged top flipper thing going on here. You can certainly access it just like any normal flipper, works really well. Or if you prefer that front flipper thing, you can do that. Works really well for me on more of a slow roll opening, but it lets you get to that nice narrow tapering blade, nice and slender, just over 3 inches long, almost a pretty much a full height hollow grind with a little bit of a gentle plunge line going on. Just super graceful, super useful for all that light to even maybe some medium duty stuff day to day. Now, if you like the look of that kind of trailing point Damascus blade, but want something heavier duty, how about this guy right here? This is the Fox Ryu Tactical Tanto. Really aggressive blade going on. Over $1,000 though, 1,042 or thereabouts right now. And you've got more of the classic Japanese style of Tanto blade as opposed to the compound grinded American style Tanto. Really graceful. Baalbach herringbone Damascus steel here. So real premium stuff, real premium fitments all around. We've got a marbled carbon fiber handle with a couple of, I think these are titanium bolts going through, judging by the color of the anodization there. All the corners of the spine, all crowned, all nice and rounded over. So it's very kind of silky to hold, but not slippery at all thanks to the texturing that they've given you, or the kind of scallops they've given you on that carbon fiber. Really nice balance too. The carbon fiber doesn't add a ton of weight to the handle. The balance is sitting right there at the index finger. So it's just such a nimble feeling blade when you move it around. Very nice. Now, of course, if you like this design, but that's a lot of money, because it is, you can get much more basic versions of this for less than $200, about $180 in some cases. And you're not going to get the carbon fiber there or the Damascus, but you get the same great design. Very aggressive blade profile. We're about 5.3 inches, plenty of reach. It's going to pierce really well. You've got the protruding tang at the back with an apex point there. It's not sharp because of kind of the crowning action going on, but definitely is going to help concentrate force if you need to use that. Now with the more basic models, you're going to get a Kydex sheath, but this one, check this leather sheath out. It's a leather sheath. I don't know if they printed it to look like carbon fiber or etched it with a laser or something. I'm genuinely not sure, but it looks kind of like carbon fiber, but it's just a classic leather, sturdily constructed sheath. I mean, check out the thickness of that welt right there. Very nicely done. All right, we'll have a few more fixed blades now. We've got a new CIVIVI, kind of a real step outside the norm for them. This is the Teton Tickler, and it comes in about $220, and it is, for CIVIVI at least, way out of left field. It's got kind of an old school, classic Bowie knife vibe going on. 5.5 inch on the blade, D2 steel, nice satin finish, thin edge overall, thick enough that you've got some strength and toughness there along with that. I really like the handle here. It is black G10 polished, almost feels like a linen micarta in the kind of the look of it, but we've got a stick tang on this knife going through that G10, so no seams on the handle whatsoever. Perfectly smooth all around. It's a bit oval shaped, so it nestles into the palm really nicely. It's not gonna twist on you too badly if you're using it in some kind of, what's this type of cut, Thomas?
Big.
Pushy, twisty cuts.
Sandwich cuts.
We'll go with pushy twisty. I think that's the technical term.
I guess you eat different sandwiches.
Yeah, I don't know. Comment section, what kind of sandwich is Thomas talking about? Am I just thick right now? Or is he just making no sense? let us know.
Even odds.
Really cool fitments too. The nickel silver guard and butt plate, really nice. Balance is a little further back on the handle. This is not really a lightweight knife. This would be really cool in like a 7 or 7.5 inch version as well. It would balance it out a little bit more too. Just give you a little bit more, you know? Either way, really cool to see them doing kind of this classic styled American Bowie knife in a way. Sheath on this guy, kind of classic leather style of sheath for this type of knife as well. Black dyed except for the inside and the edges. Snap for retention or to keep the knife from slipping out. But another really nicely constructed sheath here. All right, if you've been scanning the table, this is the guy you're waiting for, I know. Check this behemoth out. This is the Werx Tough Gear proper chopper, and boy is it a proper chopper. Really impressive knife. One I gotta be really careful picking up. There is so much mass on this guy right now, especially compared to the other guys on the table. I don't feel quite so like nimble moving it around as I, just sitting here at the tabletop, because this thing is made to hit and hit hard. It's a design by Zeke Minacho. You've of course seen some of his Werx Tough designs with us before, and we've actually got a restock of the Nomad field knife. You'll find a link to those as well down below. Limited quantities on all of these guys, though, especially this proper chopper. We've only got a handful of these. So if you want a chance to get one, make sure to get over there quickly. Price on these, it's a lot of steel, and it's coming in 280 bucks. Whoa, gosh, it is impressive. About 12 inches of steel, SK85, which of course is the new name for SK5. Solid, tough carbon steel, about 1/4 inch thick, full length fuller. You might think that's just a little bit decorative, but you can actually do more than just annihilate something with the hard hitting nature of this. I really like what this fuller does. If you're gonna grip with your second hand, grip the spine of the knife and use this as a draw knife type of situation. You've got a little bit of extra traction there, which is cool. You can even do that thing where if you have the lanyard going this way, stick your hand up through, or your arm up through the lanyard to support the weight. You've got a little bit of a pinch notion, or a pinch type of grip here, thanks to that fuller, so you can manipulate that tip a little bit better. I'd recommend carrying a smaller companion knife to this for the smaller tasks, but if you had to, it's kind of nice. Speaking of that lanyard usage, you've got that forward lanyard hole, which is hands down my favorite way to secure a big hefty chopper like this. Safety first, folks. You don't want that getting away from you. G10 handles, blue liners on them, good feel in the hand. You've got, in addition to some nice contouring, you've got some heavy machined ridges in there to help it from getting away from you as well. Need I say more?
Quite the sandwich spreader there.
Wow. You could spread a whole hoagie at once. Super.
Wise.
Gosh. This is one of those ones you just have to pick it up and smile. Like when these came in, I just walked it around the office upstairs. I was like, hey, check it out.
We were a little concerned.
Are you kidding? That's normal behavior for me.
It is. That's what's so concerning.
The edges on these guys are really nice. You've got a convex geometry right at the edge, really highly refined. So it's going to, especially on a chop, you're dealing with like a really heavy push cut, essentially. That high degree of polish and that convex edge, gonna work super well for that sort of thing. As far as carrying this knife, comes with an impressive Kydex sheath right here. You could belt attach it, but why would you? You better have a thick belt to hold your pants up at that point.
Or suspenders.
Something, man. To that end, they also give you a nice nylon case here with some D-rings on the outside and a strap, so you can sling this over your shoulder and no one will know you have a proper chopper on you until it's too late, perhaps. Whew, so cool. Rest of the stuff that comes in the package, you get like a patch and a beer koozie, and these next two knives actually also have this nice little ferro rod accessory here. Striker and rod integrated into one orange piece right here. It's going to be highly visible and really easy to take with you. All right, next up, I mentioned maybe taking a smaller you know, smaller backup blade to go with that. How about this guy? Another Zeke Minacho design, the Nomad EDC. Also from Work Tough Gear, of course, coming in about $169 right now. For that, 3.5-inch blade and plenty of handle here for a full grip, even if your hands are slightly larger than average like mine. Solid hold on the knife. G10, again, kind of the same story as the proper chopper, just scaled down. You've got excellent contouring and those heavy ridges for grip. You've even got a little bit of protruding tang here at the back for scraping or maybe some pounding. And let's talk about that blade right here. Because of this tip treatment here, they call it a reverse Tanto, but what's cool about the particular shape is it's kind of trying to do just about everything you can think of. And honestly, it's kind of pulling off a convincing job, I'd say. We've got ATS 34 steel here. We haven't seen that in a while, but it's analogous to like your 154 CM, that sort of thing. But you've got a tip that can stand up to piercing right here very easily. And this continuous belly that turns back up towards the heel is really cool. You're gonna definitely be able to do outdoor stuff like skinning with this, hours by the fire, doing carving, wood carving, that sort of thing. Great. But of course, this is called the Nomad EDC for a reason. That is just, there's a lot of utility and a lot of strength in that. A little bit of food prep as well, thanks to the slicey nature and the clearance that belly gives you if you're working on a cutting board. If you can do the work with a small knife like this, it's gonna pull it off quite nicely. But it is an EDC knife after all. We have got ourselves a Kydex sheath, and it comes with an ulti clip, so you can easily carry it either in your pocket or inside the waistband. It's a little bit big, but it's definitely manageable. I mean, it's smaller than folks that EDC a pistol, that's for sure. And it feels almost as awesome, I gotta say. Super great. Love the little pinch, the little scallops there on the front for the little pinch grips. Crisp spine on these knives, both the ones we just looked at if you need to use it for scraping stuff, such as the ferro rod, even though you do have a striker built into the accessory they include in the box right now. It's got the same convex edge with the highly refined polish going on. Doesn't get much better than that. All right, next up, if your EDC fixed blade budget runs a lot smaller, check this guy out. New this year from CRKT and Allen Foltz, this is the S.P.E.C, S-P-E.C. Essentially, they've taken the cleaver style blade shape that was so popular on the Minimalist these last couple of years and married it to the S.P.E.C handle shape. So you've got a little bit more blade and a little bit more handle and just a little bit more overall. I really like this. About 35 bucks, 2.4-inch blade, HCR series stainless steel. Pretty basic stuff, but at that price, basic doesn't bother me one bit. Hollow grind, so you've got a decently thin edge behind the sharp bit there. Awesome utility knife. And some really nice, or a lot of width thanks to the cleaver shape here for choking up. If you need to do some real fine detail stuff, scoring with the tip, getting in there really precisely into a thing, it's pretty cool. Handles, G10. Nice milled texture going on here, really nice shape. Kind of a 3.5 finger grip for me, but you've got a little extra thanks to the fob there at the back. You're not gonna lose your grip on this guy. Really like that as a small utility too. Sheath on this guy, injection molded plastic. It'll snap in like Kydex, and you've got it set up out of the box for neck carry if you wish, but there's also a small belt attachment piece included. You can of course throw your own ulti clip on one of these to carry it inside the waistband or in the pocket. As for other aftermarket stuff that'll work, make sure you use something that has a little bit of modularity to it. The standard small or large tech lock doesn't quite line up, but something like CIVIVI's T-clip should work pretty well. All right, next up from CRKT, we've also got the new version of the PSD particle separation device from Jim Hammond, coming in about 70 bucks. 3.6-inch blade. The steel on this is 4116. A lot of cutting power in this blade. When you combine the recurve shape with those aggressive VEF serrations, man, this thing is just going to rip through some material, especially fibrous stuff. Anything where these serrations are really going to hook in and bite, you're going to rip through that really well. Handles are G10, I believe, with a carbon fiber top layer. Classes things up a little bit. And one of the nice things, the way they've integrated the choil here and kept the pivot itself real close to the leading edge of the handle, is you can get right up there behind the edge for more detailed cuts. Little push, twisty, what did I call it earlier? Twisty, fighty bits.
Oh, I called them the sandwich cuts.
Never mind. On the plain edge version, that might be a little more conducive in this type of grip rather than the serrations, but you take my point. Deep carry pocket clip, which is not reversible. It's a right side tip up only device in this case. Liner lock, or sorry, it is a liner lock, but you're tip up or tip down on the right side with this guy. Assisted opening action, you've got their new torsion bar assist that they're doing along with that flipper tab. Very consistent action every time, and not too difficult to close either. You're not really fighting the spring all that much when you go to close it. They've kind of solved that in a way that other assisted openers just don't do. So kind of get the best of both worlds right there. All right, back up to some premium stuff. New versions of the ADV Scavenger production version, $680, M390, 4.4 inches roughly on the blade there, flat ground trailing point. So cool. And of course, you've got the very alien-esque styling going on. Super, super cool. Little bit of a pop of contrast here with the treatment on the clip as well as the pivot ring right there on the back, which in this case, does it? No, it's not acting as an over travel stop. It doesn't look like. I'm wrong about that. It is acting as an over travel stop. Really cool to see that integrated in that way. As for the clip, I like the little wheel on the pinch point right there. It's pretty cool. Yes, these are certainly utilitarian. You can certainly cut a lot of good things with this, but more than that, it just makes such an awesome, awesome statement. And they're built incredibly well also. Now, if you want your ADV to be a little less out there than the Scavenger, but you still want the capability, check out this version of the Alpha S flipper right here. We've got a number of these, some different varieties of this in stock right now, about $450 for this one. For that, you've got a 4.5-inch blade, S35 VN, compound flat grinds going on here, little steeper at the tip, so as you're slicing through, you've got a little bit more efficiency, but when you're doing those twisty bendy cuts here at the back, choked up, you've got a little more meat behind the edge, so a little tougher, a little stronger. Handles themselves are titanium with inlays. This one has an olive green G10 or an OD green. You can get some of these with black blades, black accents, different colored inlays all around. A lot of stuff to choose from. And this is a button lock flipper. You've got the cool button with an inlaid to match the other inlay on the handle. And you can do that drop shut thing. You can push the button, flick it out, or of course, you can do the standard flipper. Or of course, you could do the thumb stud and even do that middle finger flick if that's your thing. Backing that up, just in case you're worried about accidental disengagement, they've got a secondary lock. You can lock that button in the position, and that's gonna work whether the knife is open or whether the knife is closed. So if you're looking for a little extra security, nice little thing there. Build quality of these, I mean, they just feel super, super stable. And for such a large knife and such an overbuilt knife to be this smooth and this kind of just silky in its operation, very, very impressive. All right, next up, we've got an Balisong. This is the Prometheus Design Works SPD Invictus. Bali-B butterfly knife, long name. Price on this, $275. In this case, we've got an M390 blade with kind of their signature spear point going on with a flat saber grind and of course the dual fullers on each side and the swedge. Very much a blade shape they kind of own right now in a way. They're doing it really well across their lineup of Invictus knives, not just the Bali. We've got billet titanium handles going on, single piece integral bolster with carbon fiber inlays on each handle, so that's 4 separate inlays. You've got a pocket clip, so you could certainly EDC this. The action itself, again, not an expert flipper here, but man, it is just super smooth and super solid feeling. As far as the latch at the back, you can see right there, it's actually spring-loaded, or not spring-loaded in terms of like, you know, the Benchmade Balis sometimes are, but springed to stay out of the way when you're flipping, and it latches back up quite nicely. You can pop that and it's out of the way. Really cool. And of course you could pop that closed in the open position as well for a little bit of extra security. Come on, how cool is this guy right there? All right, next up we've got a new WingManEDC. This is a Dustin Turpin design, the Jet with 2 T's. This version right here coming in at $280. There's also a blingier version with Zircuti inlays and Damasteel blades. That one's like $800 though. Figured you guys might get mad at me if I showed you that one, so I'm gonna show you this one instead. Blade M390, 3.5 inches, but it doesn't feel like a 3.5 inch knife in a way. It feels a little more easy to use, easy to carry day to day. It's not a big overbuilt thing, even though it's plenty strong thanks to the thick titanium construction and the frame lock right there. Maybe it's because the blade's a little bit slender with this Tanto profile going on. Hollow ground at the back and flat ground at the tip, and a pretty acute point. Can be very nice to use day to day. Flipping action works great, which you'll see in a moment, but I really appreciate the lines of this in the closed position. Everything works really, really nicely together. Milled titanium pocket clip there. Standard flipper tab. This is not one of the Lee Williams kickstop flippers. Doesn't that sound good? I hope it sounds as good as it feels because it's a really satisfying knife to actually open and close. You've got the custom pivot there, and there is of course a custom pivot tool included with this knife. Really cool. If you're looking for kind of a premium titanium frame lock flipper these days, that's a little bit different, definitely a good choice. And when you compare to some of the competition, it's not even that much more expensive, or in some cases, you know, you could spend more money on a ZT easily. This is definitely in kind of the same ballpark, if not even better in terms of quality, quite honestly. It's a really, really impressive piece. All right, next up, we've got a friction folder, but I bet you this is not at all what you were expecting when I pulled up this EOS Urchin. 320 bucks, and this is a non-locking knife. And it doesn't even have just a detent or anything on the open. This is a real friction folder. It's friction holding the blade open. That blade itself, just over 3 inches, almost 3 1/4. You've got Nitro V steel with a tumbled finish. I really like the blade shape, and if you're worried about that blade moving on you, they've given you a nice choil there so you can choke up on it. That way you're kind of holding onto the blade along with the handle. So if you're pulling out of a cut and it starts to move, your hand and your thumb on the tab at the back are there kind of helping you out a little bit. Handle is straight out of the premium flipper playbook these days. We've got titanium with carbon fiber inlays in this case. A little bit of a subtle flamed finish going on. You've got just a little bit of different tones, but it's overall mostly blue. Milled clip. Really cool pivot design going on, definitely eye-catching. And interestingly, look at the tab there at the back and the hole through it. It lines up with the holes in the frame. I almost feel like there was an opportunity there for an extra piece that you could latch into there to lock this blade in the open position. Maybe some enterprising folks out there could come up with their own solutions, but you almost have like the best of both worlds in that case. The non-locking for compliance or just simplicity's sake, as well as the backup lock bar, just in case you feel the need for some extra security. But I digress. It's certainly built exceptionally well. It opens very easily with one hand, which not all friction folders do, depending on the blade shape. But yeah, I mean, it's built super, super nicely. All right, next up is another knife that we've got kind of limited quantities on. So act quickly if this video goes up. Hopefully there's still some. This is one of the last of the 2021 special edition Spartan Harsey folders. Full-size version. You got a 4-inch blade, Nichols Damascus steel in this case, and this one is the Green God and Country engraved graphic on the titanium. You see those words emblazoned on the banner with, of course, the eagle right behind it. Really cool. Really cool alternatives to something like a Sabenza as well. It's kind of not, I'd still say the Sabenza takes the cake in terms of outright fit and finish and quality, but this thing is nipping at its heels. It's like right under there for sure. Super solid feel, super solid lockup, great design. I mean, it's Bill Harsey. He knows what the heck he is doing. That is for sure. Do I need to say more?
Maybe.
Flat grind.
That'll do.
Kind of 2/3 height, flat grind. And a switch. Really cool knives.
Oh, easy there, Hemingway.
Really cool knives. That's what you need to know. Next up, a couple autos. We've got a new ProTech Strider. This is the operator edition of the SNG. Comes in about $350, and for that, what that operator edition means is this is an unmarked blade. You don't have any ProTech or Strider or any kind of markings on the blade itself, but you've got a 154 cm blade in this case. Black coated, black handle, black clip, everything blacked out, except of course the edge, which is always going to have a little bit of a shine to it, and the firing button there that actually has a tritium insert that's going to glow in the dark. So if you're pulling that out in a stressful situation, you're going to be able to find where the button is if you're familiar with the knife, but you can also get that little extra visual cue as to where that is. Pop that button. You've got ProTech's signature opening action. You can always tell a ProTech by the sound it makes when you open it. If you know, you know. And this thing right here certainly lives up to their reputation for finely built autos. Now for another auto that's a little less not flashy, we've got a new version of the Exocet from Microtech. This is the Jedi Knight Exocet, about $313 for this guy. And there's something always, the little kid in all of us that grew up watching Star Wars, an OTF out the front automatic is about as close as you're gonna get to a lightsaber ever these days. So it's real cool to see folks like Microtech kind of leaning into that sometimes. About 2-inch blade, you've got the blue finish on this one. The handle is blackened aluminum, and it's kind of suggestive of a lightsaber hilt. You've got some striations here, or some milled channels with some buttons there on the front, which are just decorative. And then of course you've got the Jedi crest there on the back, on that wide money clip inspired pocket knife, or pocket clip, I should say. And then you can do this. Just don't hit the button and go like, or do. It'd be a lot of fun too. There you go. Check those out while we still have them. All right, for one more kind of money clip inspired design. Complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of action, however. This is the Kizer Walnut, $59, and it is a detent joint non-locking knife. It's a rectangle, whether it's open or closed, which is kind of cool. Simpler pocket clip, not as wide, but you've got deep carry capability there, only on the right side, however. Opening on this knife, very easy thanks to that wide finger cutout. You've got a 2-inch N690 blade, bit of a utility-driven style shape. No real tip on it, but you use the leading edge of that to kind of cut through some things rather than piercing through some things. And the nice thing about that detent action is you can do a couple things like this. You can actually middle finger flick it open and then pop the blade closed. Quick as a heartbeat right there. It's really easy to get in and out. And there's even though you don't have a lock, there is some safety in this, kind of like the friction folder we talked about earlier, because your finger is going to be sitting here right behind the heel of the blade itself. So if you are kind of cutting through something and the blade disengages on you, it's not going to go anywhere. Your finger's in the way there, keeping it from closing, which is really nice. And man, talk about just an overall very friendly looking knife. Definitely non-threatening. The black and white looks cool. The blade, it's just a square, essentially. It's, you don't get a lot of kind of aggressive vibes off of it, which in certain scenarios can be a very, very good thing indeed. All right, that's all I've got to show you this week. Make sure to click the links in the description if you want a chance to get your hands on any of these knives. And I say in some cases if you want a chance to get, because again, some of these we've got some kind of limited quantities going in, so make sure you don't hesitate if you're interested. While you're over there, make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program so that you can earn some free money to spend on your next knife when you drop your money on one of these knives today. I'm David C. Anderson from the KnifeCenter, signing off. See you next time.